Gordon Hayward goes for 41 points, and the Charlotte Hornets get a win over the Spurs. Was it their best win of the season? We talk about that today. Plus, Julian Council joins us on Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day, local experts on the #1 daily sports podcast network. Thanks for making Locked On Hornets your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, and you need to follow us on YouTube. We are getting a lot of subscribers. We might be wearing the bee costumes soon, so check us out on YouTube at Locked On Hornets. It's exactly where our Twitter handle is as well. You can check us out there at Locked On Hornets. I'm on Twitter at Walker Mail. Doug's on Twitter at Doug Branson LOH. This episode is brought to you by Truebill. Truebill is the new app that saves you money by helping you identify and stop paying for the subscriptions you don't want or need, and can even negotiate better deals on those you want to keep. So again, thanks to Truebill for sponsoring this episode. Gordon Hayward, how about him last night? 41 points against the San Antonio Spurs, helping the Charlotte Hornets score 131 against San Antonio. Much needed win, especially when you're talking about a 6-game road trip. The most winnable game, I would imagine, on this road trip was last night. A team that is now, with the loss, 7 games below 500. Spurs moved to 10-17 on the season. Hornets with the win moved to 16-14. Still floating a little above 500. But Gordon Hayward, he was the story last night. 41 points, 15 of 19 from the field. Only missed 4 shots all game. Hit 5 of his 6 shots from deep. Was perfect from the free throw line. 5 rebounds, 3 assists to boot. Only the 1 turnover. And if you're into the plus-minus column, he was a plus 35. That's not bad. Gordon Hayward, not a bad game last night. Was sensational. It was nice to see him kind of go ballistic.
Yeah, out of the last 10 games, he's taken 15 or more shots. In 7 of those games, he took 19 attempts, hit 15 of them. I mean, he just felt it. You saw it from the jump. But over the past couple of games, he's been getting really aggressive. 41 points against the Spurs in 3 quarters. I kind of wish – I get why they rested him in the fourth quarter. I get it. They've been wanting to try to load manage Gordon Hayward because of his injury history all year and simply haven't been able to because of the Hornet situation. But I would have loved to see him set his career high, which I think he also set with the Hornets last season against the Hawks. So he had 17 points on 10 shot attempts against Dallas, 19 points on 16 shot attempts against Sacramento, and then 31 in that loss to Philadelphia. So he's been on a run of being more aggressive offensively, and I think the Hornets are going to need that, and I think James Borrego understands that as well. He mentioned after the game that love to see what Gordon Hayward did in this game, and now it's about can he make those contributions consistently through the rest of the season. I know Hornets fans, the ones that don't want to trade him, want to see that as well.
Well, yeah, and now you look at Gordon, even the last 4 games, he hasn't shot anything less than 50% from the field. He's given you a couple of these games, 31 against Philly in a loss by only 4 points, but stepped up big time in that game. You saw the 41 last night, even in the last 2, where it was a win against Sacramento, stepped up with the 20, 19 to be exact, and then against Dallas was really one of only 3 players that at least shot somewhat well from the field. And here you bring up the trade thing, right? A lot of people taking the victory lap over.
Where they at?
Right. People that wanted to trade Gordon Hayward, then all the Gordon Hayward fans taking the victory lap after last night.
Real brave in the comments. That's all I'm saying. Real brave on the live chat trying to trade Gordon Hayward away. And
now
he drops 41, and I don't hear a peep. I don't hear a peep. Where the peep?
Now that gives you the podium to pound your chest about Gordon Hayward, and now it gives everybody else. And here's the thing for me, I understand, this is kind of what I went into earlier today as well. Gordon Hayward, man, it's a big-time contract. When he signed it, I was real critical of the Hornets as well. $30 million a year, wrong side of 30, same old problems that a lot of people who have had a problem with this point to a lot of the similar stuff. But this year, you look at what Gordon's doing, even with some of these stats sneaking up on you, as we've constantly talked about, you look at what he's putting up. 47 from the field, 40 from three-point land, 18 points a game, still your best half-court offensive player. It's going to be huge in the postseason. And when people discuss strictly trading Gordon Hayward for a Miles Turner, I think trading him anything less than full value, 100 cents on the dollar, anything less than that, would go back on the benefits of what was already a risky move when you signed him. Because you think about a trade to go get Miles Turner, okay? If Gordon Hayward is included in that, then your core gets significantly worse for a playoff-mandated season. But if your core is LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier in the backcourt, Miles Bridges, Gordon Hayward, not at that spot, but then Miles Turner, it's a really good five. But if you get rid of Gordon and instead put PJ, who you know me, I mean, everybody knows I love PJ, it's not as good. Because nobody is sitting here trying to say that P.J. Washington is a better player than Gordon Hayward. And so when we talk about trading Gordon, a lot of it is because of the contract. It's because he's not this flamboyant scorer. Like, he's on a team with LaMelo, best passer possibly in the league. Miles might be the best dunker. We have got a guy like Kelly Oubre, whose nickname is Tsunami Poppy. Literally nothing about Gordon compared to his teammates is flamboyant, and yet he's the most steady hand on the team. The Hornets reached their ceiling this year with Hayward in the purple and teal. And I think that's what's most important, and that's what this game also indicated.
Gordon Hayward has something that not a lot of NBA players have. He has a mean streak and an ability to be unstoppable for periods of a game. We haven't just seen this in Charlotte. He's done this in Utah. Didn't really have much of an opportunity to do it in Boston. But we've seen this ability where he can get hot, get in the zone, and there's just nothing you can do because he has such a variety of ways that he can score the basketball on multiple levels. And when his three-point shot is going in, which it has over the past two games, I don't know how you defend him. That's what you need in the playoffs. You need players. You need one or two players who the other team goes, how are we going to defend these guys? And so if you trade Gordon Hayward, even for something that you really need, like a center, you're losing that ability. You need both of those things. You need players that you don't know how to defend when they're on their game, and you need, low post defense. So that the Hornets have to fill that gap, but you don't fill a gap by taking something else that you also need in the playoffs. I see what you're saying.
And the other thing is, again, anything less than 100 cents on the dollar from the contract that you had, because sometimes that move makes sense if a contract doesn't work out and you're just wanting to unload it. This is not an unloading situation with one Gordon Hayward. And here's the thing, I don't know what pieces are out there that make this a better basketball team while also giving him up. One popular kind of fake trade that was thrown out there a lot was the Ben Simmons potential trade, right? When Ben Simmons had all of this drama at the end, or at the beginning of the season, at the end of last year with the missed not even attempted. Gordon Hayward makes sense for Philadelphia. You could see why Charlotte might want to take a chance on a Ben Simmons, a young, still very good defensive player, still very good overall, even if he's not the number one scorer on a team that's trying to make it a deep postseason run. But it's that type of move that you could still make a case for being better if you're a Hornets team while trading him. And as much as I like Miles Turner, that's not the case. That's not the case trading for a guy like Miles Turner. So we'll see what happens with this Gordon Hayward move or potential move.
No, I'm in total agreement in terms of the move, and I just love to see the fact that Gordon has stuck with it. I think he's probably, if you stuck him with some truth serum, would say, hey, this season hasn't been my best effort, but there's a lot of season left. Here's the big question. What happens when LaMelo Ball comes back? If he is indeed coming back Friday, because Gordon has taken on a more aggressive role offensively, but you haven't had that LaMelo Ball factor in the offense as well. So it actually works towards Gordon's advantage because he loves to work in the half court. I think he's more of a half court player than a transition player. And so how does that work when LaMelo comes back? They need to figure out how to make all of those things work at the same time. You need Kelly off the bench. You need Gordon in the half court. You need LaMelo and Miles in transition. You need those three things all working in concert. in order to be a serious playoff contender.
And
they
I
need to
didn't
figure out defense.
And I didn't even think to look about this, right? But I didn't even think to look at this. But I'd be interested in the usage percentage for Gordon. We could look that up. But in the last games that LaMelo was not on the roster, how much they've kind of gone to him, how much he stepped up, and even just overall when Gordon's in the game and LaMelo is not, how has the team, how has Gordon looked different? And he was last night. Excellent game from Gordon Hayward and a big time win. Again, I've mentioned a million times with this road trip, have to win these early ones. Drop the one against Dallas, embarrassingly so. Got this one in a huge way, and they were excellent, especially offensively, scoring 130.
The margins, listen, everything's bigger in Texas, including the margins of victory and defeat. Same state, different blowout. I love it.
That's right. All right, you've been hearing me tell you about Prize Picks for months. Have you signed up yet? Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. If you have not checked it out yet, you're missing out. I'm telling you, you're going to love this app for NBA and mixed spots pick'em. The Christmas Day games are going to be off the charts and even more fun if you play Prize Picks. Prize Picks has the best NBA DFS prop game on the market. Prize Picks offers more NBA props than any other DFS prop operator and offers all the superstar players as well as bench players, only recording a handful of minutes each game. Prize Picks allows mixed sports entries, mixed spot entries, whatever you want. You can take the over on Embiid combined with the under on an Aaron Rodgers in the same entry. You can use the award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. Prize Picks is safe and offers fast withdrawals. Go to prizepicks.com today and use promo code NBA or go to your App Store and download the app. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. If you're not playing Prize Picks, you honestly don't know what you're missing. Go sign up today. Again, prizepicks.com. Use promo code NBA. All right, Julian Council going to be joining us next to talk about the Charlotte Hornets win and the road trip upcoming, what they have ahead of them on this schedule. Julian Council up next, Locked On Hornets.
This is Locked On Hornets.
You think no rust? You think he's coming out?
Listen.
Okay.
Listen. Number one. Are you listening? Number one, he's a certified gamer. Number two, part game, don't rust.
I'm with
part game, don't rust.
It's time for more of the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Welcome, Julian Council, back on the Locked On Hornets podcast, getting to talk about the better sports franchise here in the Queen City for once.
Hold on, Walker. Woo! Yeah, Julian, is this like the best part of your week now because you don't have to talk about the Panthers?
You could say that. No, it's not that they're better sports franchise. Actually, this is the most boring sports franchise. The chaotic energy that we're getting across town with Matt Rule right now, I am loving it.
That's true. It's a great point.
Darnold. He wants to go back to Sam Darnold. Like, what are we doing?
Julian, if I see Sam Darnold out there, they're trying to play chess. Like, hey, maybe we can throw him out there, and then he shows an extra something, and maybe somebody else will want to trade for him. That NFL ego, but they're gonna fall for it again. Julian, Matt Rule's gonna be like, hey, that shoulder injury is what was holding him back. Maybe we can go at it again. It's gonna happen. That is if Matt Rule sticks around. So I don't want to see it. Man, the quarterback carousel over there for Carolina, it is embarrassing. But as you mentioned, like sports all the time, they say it's better when teams are struggling massively. And so Carolina struggling pretty badly right now. Not the case for Charlotte, at least after last night. What a great win against the Spurs. You get to see them put up 130 points. Gordon Hayward. Really, everybody was on fire, though. I mean, here we are giving all the love to Gordon, deservedly so. Cody Martin, just another career high, 21 points for him. 8 of 13, 4 of 4 from deep. The league leader, I believe, in three-point percentage again after a 1-4 performance. Now he goes 4 of 4. Incredible. Miles Bridges was good in this one. You had Jalen McDaniels coming in fresh off of health and safety protocols. Goes 6 of 11, hits a couple threes. A double-double for him. Really good. I mean, PJ goes 5 of 7. They were just hot, man. They were hitting a ton of different three-pointers. Great to see an overall team win last night against the Spurs, Julian. How excited are you about what you saw and then maybe what it can mean going forward in this road trip?
No, I feel good about it. We talked last week when I was on just about how important it was for this team to come out here and get the win on Friday night against the Kings and bring out Cody Martin. The bounce back game after Monday night, just the abomination on the road against Dallas. But we knew that they had at least split one of those two games in the state of Texas. And San Antonio was the most likely one that they're going to get. And to go out there and to just mop the Spurs on their own home court was really encouraging for a team that just got Taylor Rozier back. That's going to get LaMelo back here and Ish Smith back here. So hopefully tomorrow night in Portland, very excited to see what I've seen from this team. And throughout James Borrego's tenure, we've seen them have some of those stinkers like Monday night, but they've always found a way to respond. And to see Cody Martin play the way that he's played, and he's been an integral part over the last couple of weeks with these guys out with health and safety protocols. And then Gordon Hayward, who draws the ire of a lot of fans for not living up to the contract. At least that's their opinion, some people, to go out there and once again be super aggressive and just on fire. 41 points in 3 quarters. He could have had 60 last night if James Borrego wanted him to play. Like, that's how good he was. And I don't think we've seen a Hornets player who's been in fuego like that in a long time. Like, Gordon was in the zone. He was feeling himself. I've been watching his career since back at Butler. I've never seen Gordon Hayward with that kind of attitude on the basketball floor. It was so fun to watch last night.
That's what I said. He had a mean streak. Like, he was like, no, I'm taking this basketball. I'm putting it in the hoop, and there's not a darn thing you can do about it. I mean, he had the spin move. He had the step back. He had the mid-range. He had the spot up. I mean, he was doing everything out there. It was crazy. And I agree with you too, Julian. I think the win against Sacramento, this win against San Antonio, and I'm going to go back to the win against Atlanta. I mean, to me, these 3 wins, and hopefully they can get a win against Portland as well, a very beatable team. But these 3 wins, I think we'll look back, like, mark it down. We're going to look back and say those 3 wins were the most important of the season, because we could easily be talking about, with all the adversity that they've gone through, we could easily be talking about a 9-game losing streak and 3 good Western Conference teams on the horizon.
Absolutely.
And you just talk about the best wins on the season. There you are talking about most important. A lot of them coming more recently. I think we are also on a high because a couple of those wins shouldn't have happened with the players that they were missing in health and safety protocol. The primacy bias of them beating Indiana the first night, 123-122. It was a nice tone setter to come back from 20 points down. LaMelo Ball going in fuego a little bit, 31 points for him. That was a really good win to get them started off right. And then the win against Brooklyn, unexpectedly so, the 3rd game of the season, starting off 3-0. It was really nice to see that. But recently, Golden State was an excellent one too, 106-102. It felt a little more like the most complete game, though. I guess they allowed 115, but again, they didn't even play Gordon in the 4th quarter. So it's like it was a little bit of garbage time at the end of this game. Charlotte was clearly going to win. Is this the best win that the Hornets have had all year?
Golden State's got to be the best win, just because of where they're situated right now in the NBA, and Steph just getting the 3-point history, like what, most 3-pointers in history or whatever, the NBA, whatever. They're getting the record there. Like, that's the kind of the team to beat. And San Antonio is just not a good basketball team. It's kind of crazy to see how far they've fallen off the last couple of years with Pop still at the helm. And you lose like the Tony Parkers of the world and Manu Ginobili's and the Tim Duncans. And eventually, like, your franchise is not going to have the consistency that they had for that 15, 20-year period. But it's still weird to see San Antonio be a team that you can go walk in there and pretty much dominate throughout the first 3 quarters and really in all 4 quarters. So, I mean, as far as like a 3-quarter performance, it was definitely the most dominant performance of the season for the Hornets. I guess what you want to see, though, is them in a 4-quarter battle and then maybe be like, that's the best performance that they've had so far. That's why I kind of would go with the Golden State game early on this season. Yeah,
and I guess most complete. But you're right. I mean, that Golden State win was phenomenal for this team to remain above 500. Is that how you kind of see it, Doug, as well? Maybe most complete win and best win maybe belonging to Golden State?
I think the Golden State was probably the best win because of the context and the level of the competition that you were up against. But I think most complete, I might have to go back to that 3rd win in the season against Brooklyn because you limit Brooklyn with Kevin Durant. Didn't have their entire full complement of weapons, but you limit them to 17 points in the 4th quarter. You hold them to 95 points. It was one of the best defensive performances we've seen from a team that has struggled to defend. There was a game, and I can't recall, where you had starters. Everyone was shooting well. I'll have to look back and see which one that was. That might be the most complete performance. Everybody was in double figures. The entire team was one of the blowout victories that they have. I'll look back and figure that out.
Minnesota, they scored 133, so they went 133.
That might have been it.
Yeah,
they broke a 5-game winning streak from Minnesota, so you could put that one up there. I would put this one in contention only because amazing Gordon Hayward game, and both Miles and PJ were flirting with a triple-double using that little high-low play. PJ showing off his passing skills, making me regret wanting to give him up for Miles Turner almost. I mean, just a
It's tough,
crazy,
man.
crazy ability that he has.
That's the biggest mental wrestling match that I have right now in the trade for Miles Turner. It's
good,
do you
man.
want to give up PJ? 7 assists is a career high for PJ, by the way. 9 rebounds for him. Mentioned the good shooting, couple threes, 12 points. Everybody shot well. Really, anybody that got in the game. Kelly Oubre is the only one that didn't, to be honest. In a surprising twist, Kelly only scored 3 points, not his best game, only 16 minutes logged, so he really wasn't helping the Hornets last night. But hell, I mean, he was due for a bad game because he's been very good the last 12. All right, let's take one more break, come back with the last segment, not before we discuss Truebill. Do you know why free trials renew without your consent? It's a business scam out to get you. Don't let greedy corporations pocket your money. Download Truebill instead to take control of your subscriptions. Truebill is the new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, want, or simply forgot about. On average, people save up to $720 a year with Truebill. Because companies make subscriptions hard to cancel, Truebill makes it incredibly simple. Just link your accounts, and Truebill will cancel your unwanted subscriptions in one tap. Don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at Truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. Go right now, Truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. It could save you thousands a year. Truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. Let's check in on the NBA standings coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
This is Locked On Hornets.
If you're watching on YouTube, which you should be, this is me cooking up this segment. Yeah, I mean,
We've what you're doing.
Well, this segment will. What's oh yeah? Well, yeah, it's kind of a vertical cabbage patch. You don't see that very often. A vertical cabbage patch. I'm revolutionizing white guy dancing moves.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Juwan Howard did that when they were going to the Final Four. I think that's what happened.
It's time for more of the Locked On Hornets podcast.
All right, time to check in on the standings in the NBA. Where are the Charlotte Hornets? They are currently 6th right now, just inside where they can avoid the play-in tournament. Brooklyn's number 1 at 20-8. Milwaukee is 2 games behind Brooklyn. Chicago's still holding strong, 17-10 on the year. Missed. I don't know how many games have been postponed for them now. Has it only been 1 so far because of COVID protocol?
No, I think 2.
Okay.
Sure.
So 2 games that have been postponed for Chicago. They're 2.5 games back of Brooklyn.
Unfair, by the way. Unfair. Hornets didn't get to postpone any games. They had to play all of their games. Unfair.
Well, yeah, so unfair for the Hornets. Chicago certainly not going to feel bad about it. Here they are 3rd in the standings. Cleveland number 4. A big-time surprise. Really excellent year
5 in a row?
I know, yeah.
What?
And I wouldn't have guessed that either. Had I not checked the standings, I would have said that they're a little bit further. I knew they were having a good year. I didn't expect to see them number 4. Miami is 17-12 in the 5 spot, and there's where the Hornets are. 6th spot, 16-14. Behind them, if you're curious, Philadelphia 7, Washington 8, Atlanta 9, Boston 10. Now, Boston is 14-14. Washington cooled off a little after a great start. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games. Julian, I guess Cleveland, right? That's the most noticeable team. That is where they are in the standings, and the Hornets are 6th, if you want to talk about that as well.
I mean, is Colin Sexton just going off every night? Is that what's happening up there off of Lake Erie?
Yeah, I mean, it's Colin Sexton. It's Evan Mobley, who's basically, I think he might be all alone in Rookie of the Year race right now, even over Cade and Green. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I think it's a testament, to solid drafting and player development. Both Cleveland and Charlotte have, I think, drafted really well and stuck with their players.
Little bit of
sorry,
a problem.
Walker Mill having a camera
Cleveland's
catastrophe.
4th. Cleveland's 4th. I'm just having a
You're
hard
knocking
time
over
believing that Cleveland
equipment.
is
You're
4th.
so shocked.
That's the issue. Okay, so I guess looking at it, obviously Brooklyn, Milwaukee, no one's surprised by that. Those 2 are supposed to be the title contenders, and we'll see what happens with Kyrie. Is he going to come back? I doubt it. I don't really know. Voice for the voiceless, never forget. Chicago, despite all the COVID issues, like Charlotte, they've been resilient. So I appreciate what they've been able to do. But you got to think of all the teams in the top 6 right now. Like Cleveland's most likely to drop out, and then Philadelphia and the teams that are right there in the play-in tournament tier of 7 through 10, most likely to get back in there. I am curious to see what Boston does eventually, because with Tatum and Brown's been injured a lot this season, that at some point they're gonna figure it out, right? I think Charlotte's. I like where we're at with the Hornets, where I think that this team absolutely can be a top 6 team, but it's going to be and that's why these past 6 games have been so important to be 3-3 without LaMelo. And we'll see what he looks like when he comes back, hopefully on Friday, and where he's at conditioning wise. But still, usually when it got west, things don't go great. And Dallas game kind of pointed to that, but then last night with San Antonio, we'll see how things play out the next couple games. But still, to get those 3 wins and knowing that later on in the season, there's going to be some of these other teams like Philadelphia, Boston, they're going to eventually, maybe even Toronto, that kind of figure things out. That's going to make that battle for the top 6 even, tougher.
Well, just some house cleaning real quickly so we don't continue to look like idiots. Colin Sexton's been out for the year for a while. So not Sexton. So Sexton
So the thing with that is I have a baby and baby's going to keep me up all night. I haven't been able to pay as much attention. So I don't know. That's my excuse.
So
I got a baby.
No, that's fine. Colin Sexton out for the year. Hadn't played since November 11th and November 7th. It's been out for a month. What's really happening with Cleveland is that Jared Allen is playing like a legitimate all-star, averaging 17 points a game, allowing his presence to be felt on the defensive end as well. You talked about Evan Mobley, and who's really also taken a step up, it's Darius Garland. He looks awesome. 19 points a game for Cleveland. I do think that is a team you are kind of waiting for to drop, but at this point, we are pretty deep into the year, and it seems a little bit realistic. Same thing with Chicago, which I kind of thought maybe people were a little too high on at the beginning of the season, but they're kind of showing that they belong. The Boston Celtics thing, as far as who could surpass the Hornets in the standings, the thing about Boston, I thought the same thing last year, that it's only a matter of time before they catch up in the standings and they play better than what they had been. But if you do this 2 years in a row and you're 14-14, then are they just the team that they're trying to tell us they are? Should we believe them at this point? Because, Atlanta, that's a team you could see surpassing Charlotte. I could see Philadelphia surpassing Charlotte. At this point, if Boston's trying to tell us who they are the last 2 years, maybe we just believe them at this point.
Well, how much do you put stock in, having a new head coach with that?
I guess a little. The thing is this almost was supposed to be a fix. If Brad Stevens was a bigger problem for them, and then they put him up in a higher position where now he's in charge of personnel, and then they bring in Ime Udoka, who I think players like. I think we've heard good things from the players, and that's been true even before his time with Boston. But nothing's happening right now with them. And you look at their point differential, that's a saving grace. They are plus 1.1 in point differential. So maybe that's an indicator as them to being a top 6 team. But I just don't know if I can continue to fall for the Celtics, because I agree with you. They've got too much talent. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart's a good player. We know what it is with them. And yet here they are, 4-6 in their last 10, 14-14, 500 basketball team.
Maybe
that's just what they are.
The Celtics stink. The Celtics stink, and so do the Knicks, by the way. I didn't fall for the Knicks. I feel bad for Kemba Walker. He's getting a raw deal, and he's getting blamed for all the defensive issues that the Knicks had, and I think unfairly Tibbs has put him in the closet and won't let him out, and that's a shame. But the Knicks stink, and the Celtics stink, and I'm not talking about teams that could surpass the Hornets, because I think last night's victory against the Spurs was the Hornets putting the entire league on notice, saying, hey, we've been getting wins, and we've been down 5 players, including 3 starters. We're about to get LaMelo back. Watch out, NBA. Watch out, Eastern Conference, because I'm saying they're coming for Chicago. They're coming for Miami. I'm talking about the Hornets going up, not the Hornets going down, baby.
And Julian, do you see the Hornets going up?
It'd be nice if they could beat the Sixers at some point in time.
So not with the same fervor.
I think at worst, the floor for the Hornets this year is hosting a play-in tournament game. That's the floor. And these guys talk about they want to go to the playoffs this year. I don't see them getting anywhere below the 8 seed, either 7 or it's going to be probably 6, 7, or 8. That's how I feel about this team. But when you think about are they going to move forward? Okay, the Philadelphia situations obviously weren't perfect, but they've lost 16 straight games. Eventually, you're going to have to beat teams of that caliber. The Milwaukee game had them late, had a chance to win that. They beat Brooklyn. The situation there was also weird, but that's the NBA this year, and that's been the NBA the last 2 seasons with COVID and with injuries, and you also have guys also with the load management that we've had over the last couple of seasons. So nothing's ever going to be perfect. That being said, when you have the opportunities, you have to take advantage of them, and they've done well the last couple 6 games with the guys out and staying above water. But I do want to eventually see them beat a team like Philadelphia. But before I'm going to be without a doubt, this team's going to be able to move up. Or going to stay right there in that top 6.
Yeah, and you're right. You definitely want to see them capitalize. Good news is we have seen them do that a little this year. The old Hornets teams, they're falling at some point. They've done enough to at least stay above that 500 mark, again, without LaMelo Ball. And I understand that teams are going to lose their starters, but here's the thing that helps you. I think this depth is kind of real for Charlotte. This is the first time this season. It's the first time that I've felt good about the Hornets' chances of winning in every single game. The NBA, the very style, what is ingrained in the very fabric of it is the fact that good teams are going to get upset over an 82-game season. And so if Charlotte is any kind of good that you want to deem them, they're still going to drop some games against what are bad teams. But the fact that majority over a decent sample size now where they're 16-14, and that's having gone through more COVID problems than most teams, not all, not Chicago. Brooklyn's going through it right now. It's coming, right? But earlier it hitting them harder. The fact that they were able to stay afloat, at least at the time being, if they can do it after this road trip, I mean, you got to feel decent. It feels weird to say, I get it, but you got to feel decent about them.
The depth is real. The shooting is real. First in the NBA in three-point shooting. They have annihilated teams from outside. The passing is real. The ball movement is real. I think when they were going into the game last night, they were third in the league in assists, and they had 34, which is a huge number, against the Spurs. So they might have even moved ahead of the two teams that were in front of them, which I think was Golden State and Atlanta. There are things that are real. The only thing that this team is missing right now is some kind of defensive presence inside, a center. Yeah, I mean, so if they can figure that out, then but I don't even think, honestly, they need that to get up into like 4 or 3 in the Eastern Conference if they can stay out of protocol, and you've got other teams going in and out of protocol. If they can stay healthy, I think they could get to 4 or even 5, 4 or 3. But I think it's definitely Nets and Milwaukee 1, 2, some order there. But I think they could get there even without a center, but then they'll get annihilated in the playoffs. So that's what they have to figure out.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the NBA protocols are in terms of the health and safety, like compared to the NFL. But I know NFL, once a guy tests positive for COVID, that 90 days, they don't get tested anymore. And you have that 9-day period where the Hornets should be good over the next 3 months, not having to worry about that. And hopefully, come April and when like playoff times, that stuff doesn't like creep up again, and that maybe guys take care of themselves, boosters or whatever. But that should not be an issue now for the next 3 months at least, and worrying about health and safety protocol.
Yeah, looking
and
at
Colin Sexton shouldn't be an issue either.
Yeah, he's not. No, I don't think Colin Sexton is going to be a problem. Not this year, at least. He shouldn't be a problem. Here's the team that I worry about. I mean, Doug, I kind of feel you on. There is a shot for the Hornets to continue to climb, realistically so. Brooklyn, Milwaukee, I think most of us can agree that those are going to be some form of 1 and 2. They clearly seem like the best 2 teams in the East when healthy. I'm still going to put Miami up there. They've just got too much talent. We know about Eric Spoelstra. I'm going to put Miami as a team I feel pretty good about, finishing above these other teams in the middle of the standings. And that's where I think Charlotte's ceiling is. I think Charlotte's ceiling is 4 this year. I don't think they can get to 3. But there's a realistic shot that I think Charlotte could get to 4, and they would be hosting a playoff series in that situation. That's crazy. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since we've seen anything like that. All right.
Listen, the Hornets have caught up. I'm telling you, 3 is the ceiling. Book it, mark it. But don't play it at the end of the season.
Okay. All right. I love it. I love that, Doug. Let's go.
All right. There you go. Get pumped up from Doug Branson, helping you out and getting you all riled up for the Hornets' chances at the end of the year. That'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Julian, thanks for joining us. Good luck talking about whatever drama is going to arise over there at Bank of America Stadium this week. Can Matt Rule just make sense, please, with his press conference at some point? Can he say something that makes sense?
You're asking for too much.
I know. God, I don't want to play multiple quarterbacks, but I'm going to continue to play multiple quarterbacks. Whatever, Matt. Not buying it anymore. All right, thanks again for joining us here. Locked On Hornets. Go check out Locked On Panthers. You can find Julian on Twitter at Julian Council. Make your second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. Fun Fridays tomorrow with David Walker. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you for a fun Friday and the Hive Life.